Wow, ladies and gentlemen, it is the hour I so desire. It is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the king of 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is on the air. Listen, you're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We certainly are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first the Republican and then the Democrat. We are here tonight on this Veterans Day to warn you that there are some people in the academic world who are so provocative that they have caused communism to explode on its campuses and they don't even know it. We'll be talking about who has the authority to lead in this country. And in the 10 o'clock hour, my very good friend will be released. Yes, we are releasing the KRAKEN. DC GOP Vice Chair Ralph Chitthams Sr. will be joining us. This, if you did not know, is SHR night. Sack His Radio night. So stay in the chat room. Stay tuned. We got a deal for you.
Buenas tardes, niños. This is Spanish with Señora Cabrera. Today we will learn how to say the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish. In English, we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, in Spanish, we say, juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa, una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Muy bien. Practice your Pledge of Allegiance, and the more you practice, the faster you will memorize. I'll see you later.
And I will see you now. Welcome, everyone, around the world. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show. And yes, we are live from the nation's capital. That's Washington, D.C. Yes, my wardrobe has been chosen for me tonight by the lovely dame, the beautiful betrothed, Mrs. Biggs. Hopefully I look good in this. You know, not that it really matters to me, but it matters to her. So I hope that you enjoy the look. She probably will get on me because I don't have my hat on at this particular juncture, and will probably bring me a hat that she selects for me to wear. I am such a renegade. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so glad. This is SHR night, and I'm so glad to have in the chat roll the lovely Mary Brockman, who is my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, and you will be dismissed. Thank you, Mary. Mary says, I look marvelous. You look marvelous, darling. Marvelous. I probably look marvelous because she picked out the wear. I don't know. Also, Joe's in there, and if you've heard earlier, the show that precedes mine on SHR is a show that you need to make certain that you listen to and watch on a virtually, forgive me on watch, but you need to listen to on a daily basis. Politic Weaver, the weaver of common sense that he is, Joe is with us in the chat room. God bless you, sir. Glad to have you here. Also, Dave Milner, who is better known as the Unpleasant Blind Guy, is with us tonight. Glad to have you here, sir. So, the words will eventually come out. Knock that head. Okay. Dave says, I just wear black t-shirts. Even I can pick those out. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. And I think I would have worn one too, but my wife likes to dress me, unfortunately. You know, something about the metrosexual experience. I don't know. have to look appealing while I'm on TV. So those of you who are watching via Ustream and live stream, thank you so much for tuning in. I want to thank all the great people, all the great people who are listening to this particular program via SHR Media. Also, Blueberry, Stitcher, SHR Media, Spreaker, The Voice of Liberty, and our new broadcasting giant, Rebooting Liberty, which is playing this show back sometimes in the morning. I think tomorrow morning it's 8 a.m. they will be playing it. Sometimes they play it at 6 p.m. Sometimes they play it at 8. But I finally made the drive time. Wow. I'm so glad to have done that one. Hopefully we keep it less than naughty tonight so that it will go well at 8 a.m. We always dress dolls as children. Some never outgrew it. Thank you, Mary. Oh, man. Wow. What a day. What a day in the neighborhood. This is Veterans Day. And I want you all to do, if you all would do me a great favor, if you would pray for my wife. We spent the whole day virtually going from doctor to doctor. And I pray for her that her healing comes by God's stripes, and she receives the countenance of God in her life that will not frown upon her but smile upon her, so that she can overcome the pains and agonies that we all endure as we grow older. Just as simple as that. So thank you all so much. I know that you will, because she's my girl. She really is. The president gave his words today to the veterans. Hillary Clinton gave her words the other day to the veterans. But I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that our veterans still are not receiving the care that they deserve. They deserve so much more. When the son of a $20 million railroad executive can cause the president of a university to resign because of a hunger strike, think of how our servicemen and women have sacrificed their lives, their honor, and their wealth to protect this nation, to protect our Constitution, and more importantly, get home to their families. And then you'll have a gentleman who will stand up who has done very little to support the military. A gentleman who virtually has turned a 10-ear to our allies and friends around the world. A gentleman who says that he will make certain that our veterans receive private health care vouchers and other cares, which don't result in a hill of beans, because I talk with veterans on a daily basis, and no, they're not receiving the care as promised. And somehow you have the audacity to look them in the face and tell them that things are getting better for them, that they have a very low unemployment rate, that they, I guess they're not revolutionizing the country, sir. I remember how your administration, Mr. President, deemed that veterans who came back from the war were dangerous because they could possibly cause terrorism in the land. Yeah. That same president stands in front of you and tells you that everything's going to be all right. Don't worry about it. We got good people. We got top people looking into this. And then we get news today. Now, I know you got to pay people. So I'm not going to play stupid for you on TV just because I look good doing it. Not going to play stupid for you. Yes, you have to pay people. But here's my problem with the pay people mentality. Okay? Just today I learned that the Veterans Administration pay bonuses. And you would think, well, you know, bonuses, you know, you got to pay them. You know, you got some good workers. But I want you to know that the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs paid more than $142 million in bonuses to executives and employees for performance. For performance. I lie to you not. For performance. $142 million. Now, that works out to about $900 per employee, but I'm quite certain that they did not divvy them up with egalitarianistic thinking. So I assure you that some people have gotten more time than others, or at least more money than others. Here it is out of the USA Today. I'm reading to you from Legal Insurrection. I'm going to put this in the chat roll so that you all are following along at home. And I don't know about you, but I think I would be slightly upset with this. I know that I am, because there are a number of veterans in my family. And I assure you that the veterans in my family are not receiving the top-notch care from top people regarding this matter. According to USA Today, the Department of Veterans Affairs doled out more than $142 million in bonuses to executives and employees for performance in 2014, even as scandals over veterans' health care and other issues racked the agency. Among the recipients were claims processors in a Philadelphia benefits office that investigators dubbed the worst in the country last year. So what bonus do you pay the worst of the country? $50 gift card to Starbucks, maybe? $100 card to Target and tell them to shop and enjoy it? No! They received $300 to $900 each. In addition to that, managers in Toma, Wisconsin got $1,000 to $4,000, even though they oversaw the overprescription of opiates to veterans, one of whom died. The VA also rewarded executives who managed construction of a facility in Denver, a disastrous project, years overdue and more than $1 billion over budget. A billion. I'm not saying million. Million. They're not saying M. I'm saying B. $1 billion over budget. And in St. Cloud, Minnesota, where an internal investigation report last year outlined management that led to a mass resignation of healthcare providers, the chief of staff cited by investigators received a performance bonus of almost $4,000. As one of his final acts last year before resigning, then VA Secretary Eric Shinseki, announced he was suspending bonuses in the wake of revelations that VA employees falsified wait lists to meet wait time targets, ostensibly as part of efforts to secure the extra pay. But he only curtailed them for a sliver of VA executives, those in senior levels of the Veterans Administration, Veterans Health Administration, which oversees health care. Despite the scandal, VA executives receive bonuses. Mr. President, the next time you stand in front of those veterans, some who lost their limbs, some who lost their eyes, some who lost their hearing, some who lost other parts of their body, so that you might stand up there and protect the Secretary of State who lied to the American people, so that an ambassador dies, and 3 others, and then cover it up. The next time you stand in front of those guys, I want you to remember George Washington. George Washington, who looked at those soldiers through his dimly lit eyes because he had given so much to the country, and needing glasses, stood in solidarity with them. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, from this quick break, we will talk about a scary thing that professors who have never studied history are doomed to repeat it.
Right swipe. It's gonna be a right swipe. This man just shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh, you stole mine. Right swipe.
Right swipe. Right swipe. That kind of looks like my sister. It does. But I know she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten. Oh my god, I want to eat their faces.
Oh, she's hot.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Left swipe.
Left swipe.
This must be some kind of joke. If you think you're my type, and I'm my type. If you're good in the cloud of smoke, I just left swipe. Bye bye. I just left swipe.
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe your lips.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe your
Left
lips.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe your lips. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you pop. Hashtag perplexing. Yeah, you work out, you're in shape, okay. I like the 6-pack abs, not the 6 packs a day.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie. Whole nine, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. But I just couldn't overlook one small fact.
She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
This must be some kind of joke. If you think you're my type, and I'm my type. If you're good in the cloud of smoke, I just left swipe. Bye bye. I just left swipe.
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe your lips.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe your
Left
lips.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe your lips. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all offensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking y'all from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Left swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Left swipe that. Smoking while acting healthy. Left swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Left swipe that. Smoking with a duck face. Left swipe that.
At a monster truck race?
Left swipe that. Smoking at the prom. Left swipe that.
Even in a photo bomb?
He don't care. Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe your lips.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe your
Left
lips.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe your lips. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe your lips.
Yeah. Hashtag.
I'll never remember you.
This Veterans Day, I want you to remember something. Stockings for Soldiers. Stockings for Soldiers Delaware Incorporated was founded to help improve the morale and welfare of members of the armed forces of the United States of America deployed in harm's way. They accomplished their mission by sewing holiday stockings and filling them with special items for the troops. Many of the stockings that are sent are for a specific person with their name on the stocking. For many troops, that gift is all they receive for the holidays. We're trying to send a touch of home, they say, as well as personal messages of support to remind our troops that we appreciate all they do for us and to let them know that they have not been forgotten over the holidays. We depend on the generosity of others to help us to accomplish our vital mission. Stockings for Soldiers Delaware Incorporated is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so your gift to them may be tax deductible. You can always check with your tax professional for greater details. If you would like to make a donation to the community project, please send your check to Stockings for Soldiers Delaware Incorporated, 1911 Folk Road, F-O-U-L-K Road, Wilmington, Delaware, 19810. They thank you already for making that donation to them. Remember, before they were veterans, they were soldiers, and they need your affections. Why not send it? Today, we are talking about who has the authority to lead. Whom has the authority to lead? And I might as well just do this real quick. This is a poem that I received from Steve Atkins. I don't know if it is, I believe it is the whole of the poem. But today is Veterans Day, and he sent this to me. He said, "It is the soldier, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the soldier, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the soldier, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to demonstrate. It is the soldier who salutes the flag, who serves beneath the flag, and whose coffin is draped by the flag, who allows the protester to burn the flag." Our soldiers. And this is how we welcome them back. Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, today, those who are demanding college safe spaces have forgotten that the only safe space that a soldier has is in his foxhole. But those grievances have been addressed. Tom Wolf stepped down as president of the University of Missouri, and the chancellor as well, and there are others who are stepping down. Stepping down because they have been accused of not handling the matters of racism well. But I want you to know that one of the stories that's being promoted is the story by the student body president for Missouri University, not Missouri State, Missouri University. And he apologized today for scaring everybody with false KKK on campus rumors. Missouri student body president Peyton Head posted that the KKK was on campus, then later said it was all a lie. This is getting so weird. Mike Foster reports November 11, 2015. Now, this is what Peyton Head had to say. The student body president who promoted the fact, an erroneous report, that it was the KKK on the campus of Missouri University. And trust me, Michael Hughes, Dr. Michael Hughes, I'm going to get to you tonight. We got a lot of stuff here. Got to get to you. Peyton Head says, "I'm sorry about the misinformation that I have shared through social media. In a state of alarm, I was concerned for all students." This is it. See, when liberals are concerned about stuff, they don't have to witness it. They just tell you. They'll tell you that it was a videotape and tell their friends, it was a terrorist attack. They'll tell you that they're going to protect your job. That's why we're raising the minimum wage. But they'll tell their friends that, we're trying to eliminate certain people working. So I want you to know, this is what liberals do when they're concerned about something. He says, "I was concerned for all students of the University of Missouri and wanted to ensure that everyone was safe. I received and shared information from multiple incorrect sources." Now, this is a student, Peyton Head, a student from the university. The first thing they tell you to do when you're writing a paper is to source it. If it's not your original thought, if it's a thought that's taken from someone else, it has to be sourced. And in most cases, double sourced. You have to actually prove that the person who said what they said to you is absolutely true. Lest you fail. At least, I don't know, maybe in biology you don't have to do that. Maybe in chemistry you don't, but I know in English when you're writing a paper, and psychology as well, I know that you have to source your materials. And it has to be a competent source. But it wasn't enough for a competent source. See, apparently, any old source will do when you're talking about racism. Air quotes, people, racism. I was concerned for all students of the University of Missouri and wanted to ensure that everyone was safe. I received and shared information from multiple... See, and I can't even get through this. That one statement there kills me. You're a student. You're a student of the university. You're student body president. You don't go on rumors. You're not supposed to go on rumors. You are the person who represents the entire body before the administration. And you're going on a rumor? From multiple incorrect sources, which I deeply regret. The last thing needed is to incite more fear in the hearts of our community. Can I tell you that that's the first thing that is needed in order for liberals to operate? In order for, and stop calling them, they're not even liberal, they're socialists or communists. That's basically it. Forget the progressive. All that, we need to toss that out of the 2016 people. We just need to be correct with all this conversation. All this talk. We've been nice. We've been kind, we've been gentle, but if someone walks up to you and tells you that they're a Democrat, just repeat back to them you're a socialist. Now I need to find out what type of socialist you are. Are you a communist that believes by force you do this, or are you subtly do it by the voting box, and that makes you a socialist? You know, how do you pose this? Are you a communist or a socialist? The degree tells me whether, if you believe in the voting, you're just all true to socialism. If you believe that by force you take them, then certainly you're a communist. But you're not a Democrat. The Democrat Party is gone. It is non-existent. Forget about it. It's over. You're either a socialist or a communist, one way or the other. So, in order for these community organizers to work, they must first instill fear. Remember, God tells you that you do not have a spirit of fear. So it has to be installed from outside. Because on the inside, he's giving you not a spirit of fear, but love, power, and wisdom. So for Nistro, he's giving you wisdom. So where you have wisdom, you can't have fear. Love, power, and a sound mind. He's given that to you. If you're acting with a sound mind, you won't be acting in fear. But Peyton Hand and the rest of the communists or the socialists, depending on where you are, or whether you're under Professor Click, who lost her job today for taunting a photojournalist. Professor Click is her name. Peyton Hand says the last thing needed is to incite more fear. The truth of the matter is, that's what fear needs. Fear is the oxygen that keeps the fire burning. Fear is the kerosene that you throw on the open fire. Fear is a gas station where you have just tossed a match after lighting a cigarette. And I don't know why people do that, but they do it. And he tells you the direction in which the fear is thrown. He says in their hearts, which is in your mind. So, come on. I have to convince you that something fearful, something weird, something dangerous is coming in order for you to act in the method that I want you to act. He says in the future, please receive emergency updates from mualert.missouri.edu or at mualert on Twitter only. But why would we turn to MU, which is bowing to you? How can we trust them? I notice that no one's going to have a hunger strike to force Peyton Head out of the position of student body president. No one at all. So what I did today, for those of you following along at home, is I decided to ask some serious questions of those who come to my site, Kenneth McClinton, at Facebook. Because sometimes you just get tired of silly stuff. You know what I'm saying? Let's just be honest. We get tired of it. Here's the question that I asked. The University of Missouri is a public research university located in the U.S. state of Missouri. Okay, so Ralph, good to have you here, sir. Good to have you here. We'll have him on in a few moments. So this is what I'm asking now. Knowing what you know about Missouri University, would you send your child to this university, yes or no? If you have a university president that resigns because a football team believes the hoax and they resign for their president, they say, we're not going to play this weekend. If he doesn't have the sound mind to retort, first and foremost, every one of you is under contract, believe it or not, with the university. Your contract is that scholarship. If you choose not to play, that's fine. Your scholarship will cover you to the end of the season, and you will be released from your scholarship in December. Good luck. Find a nice new college or university to go to. And as for the coaching staff, they're replaceable too. That's along the lines of individuals who tell you that you can't deport 12 million people. Oh, yeah, you can. If 12 million people can get in, 12 million people can get out. So, in my opinion, I would not send my daughter or my sons or whomever to the University of Missouri. Although it's a public institution. L. Lockwood says probably no, but it's a pity their journalism school used to be considered the benchmark. Only takes a few. You're absolutely right. Thomas Laswell, no. Marilyn Tuck Oaks, love you, Marilyn. Never. William Green, no. Greg Hopkins, nope. Paul Winfro, no. Debbie Diane Smith, no. Thank you. Can anyone name a famous alum? No cheating with Google. Ladies and gentlemen, the answer is no. Why would you send your children to a school in which they run the institution? And that's the point I'm getting to tonight. When we come back from this particular break, I want to get into the conversation of what happens when you allow the children to run the asylum. It's going to get nasty, people, and you're going to hear it from the words of a gentleman who once served, my friends, as a member of the Red Guard. Yes, my friends, it's going to get ugly. It's going to get dirty. You're not going to like what you hear. And especially for my good friend, Dr. Michael Hughes, for the historically black college university that he's a part of. The first people to go under Mao Zedong were professors like you.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant. And today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and ingredient. This is our It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Once the fish is ready, then our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused meat burgers. When we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce, we start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat next to a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit. Order up!
That's what I'm talking about, baby. Order up. Why it gotta be like this? 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland 20748. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland 20748. 301-449-9000. 301-449-9000. Infuse.com. It is the home of the bacon pancake. Now, I know all you patriots out there love some bacon because you're anti-Mohammedan just like I am. You want your bacon pancake, baby. I want a bacon pancake, too. You can go there for brunch on Saturdays and Sundays from 8 to 3. Top of the line kind of food, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Infuse.com. This is the place to be. Infuse Restaurant in Washington, D.C. Listen, a good friend of mine, in fact, my wife and I went up to see Jill Upson up in West Virginia. And you know how I love food. So I'm encouraging people, if you happen to be going up in the direction of the Appalachian Mountains in the Charlestown, West Virginia area, this is a good time to go and check out the leaves. That's why people go there. They leaf hunt. It's what liberals do. We use a Second Amendment. They use environment. They like leaf hunting for some odd reason. Chasing the leaves as they fall down from the tree. Whatever they do. If you happen to be a person who likes to see the scenery, which I like to see, and like to take my wife because I think it's very romantic, and you happen to be in Charlestown, West Virginia, go by Alfredo's Restaurante and Mediterranean Cafe. They're open Monday through Saturday from 11:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Sunday from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. You can get in contact with them at 304-724-9992. 304-724-9992. Ladies and gentlemen, and Mary will tell you, if you're in the chat room at SHA, where Ralph J. Chittams is, and Dave Milner and Mary are my bouncer extraordinaire, okay, they'll tell you that we have had quite a mini battle with my cousin, Dr. Michael Hughes, who happens to be a professor at a historically black college and or university. I don't know how you could be "and," but I just want to throw that in there just in case they've changed or something. And for some odd reason, it doesn't connect with Dr. Michael Hughes that what happened on the campus of the University of Missouri, where they now have a healing area just for black people. And the black students don't know how they're being abused and misused in this scenario. No matter how wealthy they are or how connected they are, they don't know how they're being so misused. The communists, the socialists use race to bind you. But I can't convince you of that. And let me start off with Dr. Michael Hughes, because somehow they don't believe in history. Somehow every day is a new day, and nothing's ever happened before that. In Ecclesiastes is a lie. There's nothing new under the sun, Ecclesiastes says, but there's got to be something new. That's why we go to college, so we can be smarter than our parents. And for the conservatives who come on Facebook and other sites and you parlay the same ignorance regarding race, I'm going to just tell you that you're caught up in the same foolishness, and I question your conservative nature. Because I think, I don't know, Mary, did I establish earlier, Mary, that, quite frankly, God only gives you a spirit, and it ain't a fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind, or wisdom. So, if that's the case, yes, Dave, voluntary segregation. They are promoting voluntary segregation on the campus of the University of Missouri. Only for blacks. I am not lying to you. Only for blacks as a healing area. So, you're being used, bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray. As the great Dr. Malcolm X, well, he's not a doctor, but Malcolm X would tell you. There is the story of Jonathan Butler. Now, Jonathan Butler happens to be the young man who said that he would commence to a hunger strike. Now, what's not being reported about that hunger strike is that he said he would not eat for 7 days. 7 being the perfect number, of course. And all you Bible-believing church folk out there understand that 7 is perfection. You come to a place of completeness in God. Well, his completeness in God would have only gone 7 days. And in the framework of looking at guys like Gandhi, who did it for a month or two, I mean, come on. We ain't talking hunger strike. We talking Weight Watchers here. Okay? So, Jonathan Butler, who is the Mizzou student that started a hunger strike because he wanted the school's president fired for something he had no part in, turns out to be the son of a railroad executive. And I want y'all to understand this. Get close, because there's some people that tell you that it doesn't matter about how much money he makes. Okay? So I want you to do me a favor. I want you to get close. All right? Breaking news here. His family's net worth is $20 million. Which leads me to one question. Why is the son of a $20 million man at the University of Missouri? That's why. Maybe he likes public institutions. I don't know. But this led to a question. Is this hypocrisy? Michael Hughes responds, well, some things are not dictated by class. Wait a minute. Whoa! Whoa! Stop! Hold the brakes on this bad boy. Wait up on a second. What do you mean some things are not by? Yes, they are. That's the progressive, that's the socialist communistic mindset. Forget all that liberal crap. That's Democrat crap. That is the socialist communist. It's got to be about class. And Dr. Michael Hughes and Mary will tell you has argued with me over class before. So, wait a minute. As long as a wealthy man thinks the way you think, Dr. Hughes, along the bit of socialism or communism, as long as he thinks along those particular lines, it's okay for him to be wealthy, because in the end, his wealth becomes your wealth. Just like your degree becomes his degree. Something like that is a communism thing, right? He goes on to say, then those who are wealthy take the side of those who are in another similar area, or area similar. He has a right to do that. Why is it that we fall for this? The minute someone says that you have a right to think differently, we say, oh, we'll get quiet and get silent. No, we never question his rights. Unlike Professor Click, who questioned the right of a photojournalist on a public campus to be in an area where students are protesting publicly against the president of the university. He had every right as a journalist to be there, but this was the answer to the journalist. Forget about the law. What about the law? It's all about humanity. Let me digress. He's Dr. Hughes says, complain all you want. He is exercising his First Amendment right, and all you can do is erroneously complain. Now, this is the problem here. Never let a communist or a socialist tell you what your rights are, because they don't believe you have any rights to begin with. If you had rights, okay, that means that they have the right to steal, kill, and destroy them. So don't get into a debate over rights. You know what your First Amendment rights are, and they're exploiting your First Amendment rights to take away your rights. So Dr. Hughes makes that comment. So this is my response back to Dr. Hughes. Michael Hughes, however, the great political isms are communism, Marxism, and socialism. They use race as entry gates to establish rule. There is no error in critique, only error in alleged complaint when truth is very evident. Dr. Hughes responds back, Kenneth, what are you talking about? This makes no sense. Okay, now, historically black college and university, professor of education. Let me explain to you something. Education is undergirded by history. No matter what the history of the subject is or the origin of the subject, you must go back to its eventual constructs in order to understand what innovations may come from latter knowledge. So as such, in the history, my friend, there is no history that takes racism as anything other than a tool of divisiveness to establish totalitarianism. He doesn't get that. Somehow he doesn't. What are you talking about? It's all the white man against us. So this is what he does. To establish the fact that it's always the white man against us, he makes this commentary. And where's that commentary? Let me get that real quick. Okay. Until the philosophy which hold one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned. First and foremost, has been. Who believes in that? But those who are saving it so that they can maintain their political and economic capital. Conservatives don't believe that crap. So who are you trying to persuade? Yourselves? And abandon. Everywhere is war. Me say war. And this is Bob Marley, so just want to let y'all know. That until they're no longer first class and second class citizens of any nation, until the color of a man's skin is of no more significance than the color of his eyes, me say war. This is a doctor now of education, and he chooses this song by Bob Marley. That until the basic human rights are equally guaranteed to all without regard to race, this a war. That until that day, the dream of lasting peace, world citizenship, no borders, rule of international morality, United Nations, will remain in but a fleeting illusion to be pursued, but never attained. Now everywhere is war. And until the ignoble and unhappy regimes that hold our brothers in Angola, in Mozambique, South Africa, subhuman bondage have been toppled, utterly destroyed, well, everywhere is war, me say war. war in the east, war in the west, war in the north, on. Of good over evil. Yeah, good over evil. Yeah. My retort back to him is to say, that hold our brothers in Angola, in Mozambique, South Africa, subhuman bondage. You know the Mohammedan radicals are the ones binding individuals and families in the struggle and enslaving Christians and create chaos in the land. Dr. Hughes responds back, yeah, what? That is the same, that is the song that has true meaning. Though there have been some changes, problems of the same nature exist everywhere and speak to a certain person in terms of critique. Yeah, but you know the Mohammedans care little for colonialism songs, as they seek to oppress any that refute their political pursuits of world domination in the name of the leader of the cult. Racism is inconsequential to those seeking to bind the world. It is only consequential to those that are able to pervert justice by bending the rays of light of jealousy, envy, and hate around it. The oppressors on Missouri's campus demand safe places, just as the world oppressors of the enslaving cult of Mohammedan cult demand their safe places in the Middle East. As soon as the Mizzou students were successful, their puppet masters began to install communism on the campus. We grew up during the end of one egomaniacal world leader who started turning the educated youth against the culture, which resulted in a revolution. Mao Zedong. Only 35 million people perished watching the battle for Red Book communism to conquer the world. Few rights and freedoms exist for those that survived. Racism does not matter to those that will lead with a true iron fist. So here's the problem. On the campus of Missouri or in China, the bottom line is there are individuals that are trying to take away your rights and your freedoms, and the thing that they're using is a tool of fear called racism. Now, I want to ask those who perpetuate this lie, how did racism end? How did racism end by firing Tom Wolfe? How did sexism end, especially since you're going to vote for Hillary Clinton, who is married to a man who actually raped somebody? How did electing her change sexism in America? Especially when she works for a man who pays women less than men in his own administration. How did you end sexism? You didn't. This has nothing to do with sexism, has nothing to do with racism, has every single thing to do with the installation of communism on the campuses of America. Now, if I say these things to you, I'm the crazy one. But the truth of the matter is, it's happening. Man, I ran out of time. When I come back in the third quarter, okay, I want to read to you. This is from April 1987. I was a teenage Red Guard, and I have just a few minutes. I have a few minutes. I know in 4 minutes I'm supposed to go to a break, but let me read this to you. Fanatics ready to commit violence and denounce anyone in the name of communism, or heroes who sacrifice personal comfort to work for the greater good. Conflicting images of the Red Guard summed up Western confusion about Mao's China. Mobo remembers what it was really like to be a Red Guard. So in the final quarter of tonight's show, I want to talk with you about Mobo. And I'm going to put that in the chat room for those who are following along at home, which is why you should always tune in through the Exceptional Conservative Show and listen, because we don't mind educating you. Got the email? Got it? Got it? Okay, because there's something coming up very, very soon, and I want to tell y'all all about it. Ann Ublis is in the chat room. Love you, Ann. Deborah is in the chat room. God bless you. Thank you for being here. But ladies and gentlemen, if I'm completely off my rocker, You can easily come to the chat roll at SHR Media Live or at the Exceptional Conservative Show and tell me I'm off my chat roll. But after I read to you, I was a teenage Red Guard, or at least some quotes from that and some understandings from that, you're going to understand exactly what happened in Missouri. And as a taxpayer, you're going to demand something. Okay? And let me tell you what it is. Don't send another dime to the University of Missouri. They can make it on their own. This is SHR Night. Sackheads Radio comes up at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't move from the chat roll. They are the best late night show in America. We'll be back. Peace.
Buenas tardes, niños. This is Spanish with Señora Cabrera. Today we will learn how to say the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish. In English, we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, in Spanish, we say, juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa, una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Muy bien. Practice your Pledge of Allegiance, and the more you practice, the faster you will memorize. I'll see you later.
And I will see you now. Welcome to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. I'm your host, the exceptional one, Ken McClinton. You're listening to the most influential urban conservative show in the world. Annie and I will be joining up again. If you all don't know who Annie is, I am telling you right now, you need to turn to her show in the afternoons. Annie Ublis has a wonderful afternoon program. And please promote your program, Annie. Let everyone know what it is so they can tune in. And it's on Blog Talk Radio. And quite frankly, we get together on an annual basis starting last year for the Tea Party Convention in South Carolina. The Tea Party Convention this year, in 2016, is already scheduled. We're going to encourage that you participate. Come on down for a wonderful, wonderful time. It happens to be the 16th through the 18th of January. It is their 5th anniversary of the South Carolina Tea Party Coalition, 2016, and what a very, very good year for it to be. 2016, this is the presidential election year. Presidential candidates will be in attendance. There will be a Q&A session for a national live stream. There are book signings, meet and greets, and I've been there. I really enjoyed it, and my wife and I love it. We love Annie and Yoon. We love them. That's why we come. But I'm telling you, they got some great speakers lined up for the South Carolina Tea Party. And that's Donald Trump will be there, Ben Carson will be there, Senator Ted Cruz, Rick Santorum, Gordon Chang will be there, Steve Bannon. So we're looking forward to a wonderful, wonderful event. And I'm looking forward to be a participant there again as the hand servant to Annie. Just sit there and look pretty. I know my place, Annie. I know my place. It'll be at the Springmaid Beach Resort, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Tickets are on sale right now, so we're encouraging you, go ahead and get your tickets now. Get your place registered so that you'll get a nice spot. And if you tune in to Annie's show, she'll tell you all about. Kel Fritz is in there now. I love you, Kel. She will tell you. Friday, I have Phyllis Shifley on from Eagle Forum. You go, girl. And Ublis has. Tell them where they can go, Annie, while you're there. So glad to have all of you. Kel is the official producer of every show on Blog Talk Radio. Just want to let you all know that. So if you want a great producer, call Annie. Love you, Annie. Sorry, Kel. Love you, Kel. Calling now, Ringy Dingy 1, Ringy Dingy 2. My very good friend, Kel Fritz says that Annie's show was awesome yesterday. We're calling Ralph Chittams. Ralph Chittams happens to be the DC GOP vice chairman. And is also one of the most influential men in Washington, D.C., if not the nation. Great to have you here tonight, Ralph.
Good evening. It's always a pleasure. How are you, sir?
Just fine. Listen, I hear tell that you embarrassed the mayor so much that she gave up a quick way of making money. Can you tell? Can you tell everybody what that's about?
Sure. But first, before I go any further, I just want to give a shout out to all the veterans and the families of veterans who have fallen, who fought to provide the liberty and the security that I currently enjoy. So I just want to say thank you to all who have served and to the family members of all who have served. Now we can get down to talking about a stupid mayor.
Yes! Thank you. More important, thank you so much for taking care of that today. And we wish you all the best of Veterans Days today. So glad to have you here. Ralph, Mayor Muriel Bowser who ran as a people's candidate, and that was probably the People's Republic of China, but we didn't know, ran as a people's champion, had a fresh pack. And we're not talking sausages. We're talking an actual political action committee that had raised hundreds of thousands of dollars since the beginning of the year. What's wrong with a little cash amundo, Ralph?
Well, first things first, millions of dollars are ran on a platform of ethics and transparency and accountability. Sort of the same sort of platform that a president that's currently in the White House ran under, and we got none of that under him, and we certainly haven't gotten any of that out of her either. So they started this fresh pack, raised $300,000, shook down people who wanted or had contracts with the district government, or individuals who wanted jobs with the district government, and raised approximately $300,000. And that was money going to be used to support the mayor's agenda and candidates running for office who would support the mayor. Now, in what universe is that ethical? It might be legal, but it stinks.
Well, they say it's legal. I mean, what's wrong with raising a few dollars here, man? You know, we gotta pay the light bills and punch out flyers for the next election.
The answer to that question is simply because something is legal doesn't make it right. And I have one word to prove that statement, and that one word is slavery.
There you go. You're absolutely right. Now, what organization can change all that, but is kind of not wanting to?
Well, one of the reasons why they decided to disband this pact is because some members of the D.C. Council actually looked up and realized that this was going to be nothing more than a slush fund that the mayor and her cronies were going to be able to use to run candidates against them when they ran for re-election. So their pushback against Fresh Pack had absolutely nothing to do with ethics. It had everything to do with self-preservation.
Wow. Wow. And so all this really ties in because we know that the McDuffie campaign, at least the assistant who's helping him run his campaign this year, came out and stated that they wanted to eliminate some of the ANC leaders who have put up a great fight on economic development proposals, like it onto the soccer stadium. And there seems to be a correlation between those donors and the soccer stadium and a few other development projects. Am I right on that?
Well, of course. What just happened is you had this Fresh Pack open up. People were approached and shook down for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. The mayor then announces an economic development trip to China, and lo and behold, when you look who's on the guest list on the trip to China, it's those same people, those same businesses who donated money to the Fresh Pack. Now, if that fact paid to play politics, I have no idea what it is.
I'm quite certain that the mayor, Muriel Bowser, was shocked that there was even a Fresh Pack, right?
I was listening to Colbert King earlier this afternoon. He was interviewed on the news. And Colbert said, you know, it's bad enough when you're arrogant. And it's bad enough when you're stupid. But when you're stupid and arrogant at the same time, there's no excuse for that. And this man, arrogant and stupid at the same time.
Just want to ask you real quick before we go into the next subject matter regarding the University of Missouri and also preparation for the presidential debates coming up. Just got to ask you this question. And only people who have visited Washington, D.C. and live here would understand the 250 million boondoggle that it is. Is there any trolley running on the trolley tracks right now?
If it is, it's running test routes with no live people on it. I mean, as far as I know, that's all they're still doing. They're still, running tests on the track to make sure it can function.
Now we were told, Ralph. Exactly, but we were told, Ralph, that by the end of this year, this is what she said when she had the new transportation director added on, and even he was against the concept, but somehow he fell in. That by the end of this year, you could judge her campaign, you could judge her election and everything else based on whether those trolleys run on the trolley tracks. By the end of this year, it is already close to Thanksgiving. Are any trolleys running?
No, and they are still in Brooklyn looking for that one tree.
Oh my goodness, Ralph Chittams, we have released the KRAKEN as we normally do on Wednesday nights. Ralph Chittams is here. He's the DC GOP Vice Chair. Want to talk with you tonight, sir, about the University of Missouri and how there is, as of tonight, a healing space, but only for black students, on the campus of the University of Missouri. What is that all about, sir?
That's all about a bunch of stupidity. That's what that's all about. But let's back this thing up a minute. The black students at Mizzou have been protesting for a couple of months. This poor rich kid, grad student, decides he's going to start a hunger strike, and then a number of football players decided that they were going to join in. And while all this was going on, nothing happened. Now, lo and behold, the white football coach and the other white football players all of a sudden form a solidarity unit behind the black football players. The white teachers on the campus walk out of the classrooms. And then, after that happens, then the president and the chancellor resign. So here's my question to all of these black power activists. If you have such power in your black power, how come nothing happens until you got white folks on your side?
No!
And then they can come back and form this black healing space and kick the very people out of the room who got them what they wanted in the first place. Now, understand this clearly. That white football coach did not go to those black football players and said he would stand with them until he got clearance from the boosters.
There you go.
Of that university. Because if the football players didn't play, the university was on the hook for $1 million per the contract that they had with the team they're supposed to play this weekend. So let's understand this whole narrative about black power on the University of Missouri campus is nonsense. Because those Negro children would have gotten a damn thing if the white folks on that campus hadn't joined the fight.
There you go. There you go. And now, it says the majority of those persons of white, melanin, happen to have a certain viewpoint. Would you not say, sir, in concurrence to what I've said this evening, that actually they are using the black players because they have a significant economic impact on the college itself, and it's not the quote-unquote intellectual blacks that are part of that Black Lives Matter thing that's really making a difference? They're being used, abused, hoodwinked, bamboozled, and led astray, as Malcolm X would say.
They are being used by the communists and the socialists who are now masquerading themselves as Democrats in a lead up to the 2016 election to make sure that Dr. Ben Carson doesn't wake up enough black folks to leave the plantation, open their eyes, and vote their interest instead of voting some monolithic loyalty to a party that's been kicking the black community in the behind since the 1850s.
Wow. I thought I was on solo on that track, but we're all down the same course. We see this. And, you know, what really is, and I joust with a great deal of laughter, but this is in all sincerity. you would think that after all these years, there would be some significant consideration, especially if you have a gentleman from a $20 million family who goes to a public institution. I don't understand why you do that. But
he probably didn't have the grades to get into Harvard or Yale.
Oh, thank you very much. There you go. Thank you for making it, because I was going to say that, but, you know, you beat me to it. But the bottom line is that it doesn't matter how intellectually stimulated we are as a people, how culturally, economically superior we become over time. It doesn't seem to matter. We're always the tool, or at least some of us within this culture are always the tools that can be counted on to install slavery.
A book I want to recommend to the listeners is written by John McWhorter, and the title of the book is Losing the Race, Self-Sabotage in Black America. And when John McWhorter wrote this book, he was a PhD. He had a PhD, and he was teaching at an Ivy League university. And at this Ivy League university, he still had the best and brightest African American students rolling up on him on a regular basis, looking for a hookup. And, you know, can't you do something for me, brother, about my grades? Because even that group of people still had that victimology mindset that they weren't supposed to do the work, and they were still supposed to be able to get over because someone was supposed to look out for them and, you know, just let them get by on the hookup.
Exactly. And we put that losing the race, thanks to Wikipedia, in the chat roll, where he writes about the civil rights movement, and that specifically he points to the fact that anti-intellectualism, separatism, and a self-perpetuated identity of victimhood are the factors that limit Black Americans as a group. And we see all three of them at work at the University of Missouri. They turned to a football team, anti-intellectualism. They've developed now a healing area, separation, and they're perpetuating the identity of victimhood. The KKK is on the campus and they're out to get us.
Which is a lie. Which is a lie.
Exactly.
The KKK was never on campus. The Black president of the student union went public and apologized for putting out information that he knew was false. The KKK was never on that campus. So what's happening at American universities now is our children are not being educated when they go to these bastions of higher learning. They are being indoctrinated in a left-wing ideology that has at its core intent the destruction of America.
Mm-hmm.
Period. End of discussion. You had the journalism, the adjunct professor of journalism at Missouri, telling a reporter to get out because you have no right to be here, which was a public space, and then holler for some goons to come and physically remove the reporter from a public space which he had a right to be in under the Constitution of the United States. And this is a professor at the university who is doing this. Our university system is not an education system. It is a left-wing, communist, socialist, ideology-driven machine to brainwash our children.
We are talking tonight with the great Ralph CHITTAMS, who is being encouraged to do something in Ward 7, thanks to the Fresh Pack. Yeah, I'm going to bounce that question off you at the very end, so be ready. But going to national affairs right now. Last night, while I happened to be on the air, the king of 9 p.m. that I am, the RNC decided to hold a debate. I want to ask you, sir, since this was about economic development, were there any questions about economic development in urban America, number one? And then number two, who won the debate regarding economics?
Well, I didn't hear any specific questions dealing with economic development in urban centers, like promise zones and things of that nature.
Yeah.
I recall hearing any mention of anything along those lines. And as far as who, won and lost the debate, people need to understand that in this political cycle, there are no winners and losers of debates. Mm-hmm. Right now, every candidate basically has his or her sycophants.
Yeah.
And regardless of what they say, or what they do, or how they perform, or how they underperform, Trump's people are going to say Trump won. Carson's people are going to say Carson won. Cruz's people are going to say Cruz won. So the question of who won and lost these debates really is a nonsense question. And people, honestly, in my opinion, need to stop asking it.
Okay, well, we won't ask you anymore. We won't ask you anymore. But here's a question for you. Which of the individuals on that particular dais, because Chris Christie wasn't up there, Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush, Donald Trump up there, which of those has a significant economic policy that may influence your choice or thinking in terms of what's best for urban America?
The question of economics is so tied into everything.
Yeah.
That it can't just be broken out. When you talk economics, you have to look at immigration, legal and illegal. When you talk about economics, you have to look at, things like the TPP. You have to look at this pipeline that Obama just vetoed.
Keystone.
So,
mm-hmm.
Keystone. So, I can say, Carson said some things economically that made sense. Cruz said some things economically that made sense. Jeb Bush and John Kasich, they didn't say anything that made any sense at all. We need to support the JV team and just get them out of the race completely.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Wait a minute, I gotta ask this question because you may be a little bit more knowledgeable of the RNC than myself. But is Kasich a Democrat or a Republican?
He's just confused. He's just confused. I'm not saying this to insult or demean anybody, but I really think Kasich has fallen down and can't get up.
Now, apparently, we're told that it's inconceivable for us to consider deporting 12 million people who happen to be here illegally. But it's not inconceivable or incomparable to invite 100,000 people into the United States of America who have not been vetted. Which one makes more sense to you?
Well, honestly, bringing in these Syrian terrorists is much more of a threat to our national security than the current crop of illegals that are already here, because it has already been proven that embedded in these refugees are ISIS terrorists. This isn't speculation. This is fact.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing we need to do is stop this invasion of Syrian terrorists into our country under the guise of humanitarian aid. That's the first thing we need to do. And of course it's possible to deport anyone in this country illegally. It's just a matter of will.
There you go. Tonight we learned, or at least earlier this morning we learned, that the Veterans Administration paid $142 million last year in bonuses out to their employees and executives during a time period of scandal. Your thoughts regarding that particular notice, that breaking news?
Unfortunately, it's business as usual here in Washington. And truthfully, it doesn't matter who's in the White House.
Mm-hmm.
If Republican had been in the White House, those bonuses would have been paid. But Obama in the White House, those bonuses were paid. And that's the problem that we have right now, especially, now I'm going to talk about my own party, in the Republican Party. We need to get rid of these status quo apologists and bring in some principled conservatives who are going to put their foot down and say no. And if it means we shut the government down, then we shut the government down. But we need to run this government the way I run my house. Mm-hmm. If I don't have nothing, we don't buy it.
All right.
It's just that simple.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Listen, Ralph, we're coming up on the end here, and it's always great to have you here on Wednesday nights. You know that recently, Yvette Alexander, who represents us in the 7th Ward of the D.C. City Council, because we both live in Ward 7, received some assistance from the mayor. Not with legislation, but with financial support. Yeah, a slush fund. The Fresh Pack Fund. So she's got.
Many people have decided that they're going to back Yvette in the Democrat Party primary, and that just goes to show you that kissing behind really does pay off.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And listen, you don't have to do a lot, and you don't have to know a lot, but you just know where the money flows. So, will there be anything that the RNC, the GOP at the district level, will do in Ward 7 in 2016?
Well, for now, truthfully, I'm trying to get some reasonable Democrats to run in the primary against Yvette. Because her opponents right now will be an even bigger disaster than she is. So, given the numbers game that we have in Ward 7, with the overwhelming majority of Democrats to Republicans, the easiest path to removing her would be to find a principled, blue dog Democrat here in Ward 7 to run. If that doesn't happen, there's no telling what might happen after that.
All right. So we've been talking with, and that's news, ladies and gentlemen. That's big news here in the District of Columbia. We're talking tonight with Ralph Chittams, D.C. GOP Vice Chairman. How can they get in contact with you, Ralph?
Easy. On social media, Twitter and Facebook, RJCITTAMS Senior. If you want to drop me a note, send it to ralph.chittams@dcgop.com. I would love to communicate with your listeners.
And I do want to thank you, Ralph. You participated this weekend in the Real Solutions Town Hall Assembly that we had in Washington, D.C. We had Bishop Wellington Boone there. Eddie Siplin was there. Alderman Jeffrey Boyd. And Howie Coleman from South Carolina. Want to get your final thoughts on what you felt and experienced there at that event?
What I experienced at that event, honestly, was hope. Because you had, men. And let's not diminish the significance of the fact that it was men who were there, who were standing on the wall, saying we need to step up to the plate. We need to assume our rightful places at the head of our households, at the head of our communities. We need to bring faith back into our homes, into our communities. We need to bring responsibility back into our homes, into our communities. So honestly, I felt hope coming out of the seminar that we had on Saturday.
Thank you so much. Ralph Chittams, glad to have you here on Wednesday night, sir.
Always a pleasure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the KRAKEN has been released. And when he is released, he's always a great joy to have on the program. Listen, when we come back from the break, I want to tell you that you are allowing something really stupid to happen on the campuses. You are allowing the students to take over the asylum. That's foolish, people. My tax dollars should not go to the University of Missouri. Details when we come back. A gentleman from the Red Guard will tell you what's happening in Missouri and why you should be concerned about Jay Nixon, the governor. You're listening to the Exception Consider Show live from Washington, D.C. We'll be back.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and ingredient. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Once the fish is ready, then our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused heat burgers. When we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, nice half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burgers, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat into the little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
Oh man, every time they do order up, big regret comes on my face. I don't know. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. Telephone number 301-449-9000, 301-449-9000. Infused Restaurant. I don't know what you're waiting for. I know what I am. I hope that they're... What are their hours tonight? I would love to drive out there and get me a burger. I don't know. They're good. I mean, the food's good. The people's good. They also have a bacon pancake. I mean, you got to be good folk if you have a bacon pancake. I don't know. Stockings for Soldiers, ladies and gentlemen. Out of Delaware Incorporated, was founded to help improve the morale and welfare of members in the armed forces of the United States of America deployed in harm's way. We accomplished that mission by sewing holiday stockings and filling them with special items for the troops. Many of the stockings that we send are for a specific person, with their name on the stocking. For many troops, their gift, is all they receive for the holidays. We are trying to send a touch of home as well as personal messages of support to remind our troops that we appreciate all they do for us and to let them know that they have not been forgotten over the holidays. We depend on the generosity of others to help us to accomplish our vital mission. Stockings for Soldiers Delaware Incorporated is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so ask your tax professional. We're coming up on the end of the year. Some of you all need some deductions. I know I need deductions. I live by deductions. And hopefully, if we elect Ted Cruz, you won't have to worry about deductions or anything else. Just pay a flat tax. But nonetheless, Ask your tax professional if it's deductible. How and where do you do it? Well, all you need to do is send a check to Stockings for Soldiers, Delaware Incorporated. And you know that now this time of the year, they're fly-by-night 501c3s. This is not one of those. So Stockings for Soldiers, Delaware Incorporated, 1911 FOULK Road, 1911 FOULK Road, Wilmington, Delaware, 19810. That's 19810, Wilmington, Delaware. Listen, if you did not get that information, if you didn't have a pen, and I don't know how you can listen to my show without taking notes, but if you didn't have a pen, then and didn't write that down, all you need to do is go back to our program. You can go back to this video. You can watch the live stream version of it on the site, theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. All you have to do is scroll down and play it back there. You can write it down just by doing that. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is SHR night, Sackheads Radio night. And I encourage you to stay in the chat roll, or if you haven't gotten to the chat roll, get to the chat roll at SHR Media. Dan Butcher's just gotten in there. Dan the Man Butcher from Pundit Press Media is in the chat roll. Get in the chat roll and hold your discussion. Sackheads Radio is the best late night show in America. I know some of you all drive and you listen to conservative stations and they got the truckers thing on, but I'm telling you, truckers tune in SHR. That's how funny and good they are. Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint, and Free Sacco will be on running live at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. on the left coast. Now, there is a event as well that I want you to focus on. Okay, and my wife and I will be going to that particular event, and that will be the South Carolina Tea Party Coalition. And I'm going to encourage you, if you've never participated before, find a way to participate this year. If you are a radio host, hook up with the beautiful Annie, okay, Annie Ublis, who has a wonderful program on. I'm really thinking on a presidential year, you should be there. It just really is simple, especially we are the mainstream media people. People listen to us, people hear us because we're only going to speak the truth. Even when it's bad for Republicans. It doesn't matter. We want to know what the truth is and we present that. And so I'm going to tell you, make certain that you register now. Do it now before Thanksgiving and Christmas roll around. And then all of a sudden in January, you're wondering why you have to go all the way down the street on Myrtle Beach to actually get to the... I'm telling you, it's just a beautiful experience. I love being there, and I love working with Annie. Working with Annie, there's only one thing you need to know. Sit there and look pretty. And I do that. Annie is a wonderful, wonderful host, and I love listening to her read through all the sponsors for her program. She can do through 200 sponsors in about 30 seconds. It's a wonderful feat. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk with you about character. Okay. I want to talk with you about the fact that all week long, we've been talking about character. And what's happening. I want to tie it into what's happening at the University of Missouri. This is the non-stop portion of the show. There won't be any more commercials between here and the end. And this is the fourth quarter. So we're going to make it our big push of knowledge and wisdom for us to deal with the future. We've established the fact that character, when you look at the Latin phrase of it or the Greek, it talks about the engraved mark. We talked about tattoos, and the fact that there is an engravement upon your soul as well that talks about the qualities that you possess in order to bear leadership, okay, in order to be a good citizen. So there is a sense within character that the indelible marks of whom you believe in makes a big difference in what you do and what you say. Now, I established early on, remember Peyton Head, the president of the student body of Missouri, and how he did not reference anything in order to spread fear everywhere, because it's easy to align yourself to something that you've never really experienced personally, but you know that there's symbolism instills in most people an identity of the past with a ever-present fear of evil. They don't like to talk about the fact that it was the Democrat Party that created the KKK in the first place. They don't like to talk about the fact that it was the Democrat Party that chose a political terrorist organization, a PTO, in order to instill fear in the hearts of black and white Republicans during the Civil War period and beyond that under Jim Crow. They don't like to talk about the fact that it was white Democrats that were killing black and white Republicans through the period of the 1970s. No, they didn't transfer into the Republican Party like a lot of people allege. We know about the Nixon pursuit of the conservative Democrats, but they didn't make that transition. I know that a lot of people say that they didn't. They remained Democrats. So Fannie Lou Hamer and the rest of those individuals who sought entrance into the Democrat Party sought it because they were aligned ideologically. They were aligned based on their feelings, their senses, towards a party that could take from the rich and give to the poor. A party that created such things as and supported such things as unions to prevent certain groups of people from having access to power, influence, and wealth. And even use a device called abortion to destroy populations without it being the blemish of genocide. Yes. So with all those particular things working in such a faction, there are some people who have an ideological bit and align themselves because they believe they are entitled. They have a privilege. They are beyond others. There are defining qualities that come from fear. Just as there are defining qualities that come from love, power, and a sound mind. You find those things in character. But in order to have character, there must first be an acknowledgement of authority. An acknowledgement of authority. And I want to put this in the chat roll for those who are following along home, because you know I do this when I do the American Conservatives Exploration of the Inspired Word of God on Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. and we study the Bible to show ourselves approved. El Dute, Sackhead Sean is in the camp. Glad to have you here. He comes up at about 14 minutes. But when you look at the term authority, if you go all the way back to the Latin auctoritatem, it means invention, advice, opinion, influence, command. And when you go to the term auctor, because remember, character is not an actor, it is an action. An auctor is someone who is considered a master, a leader, an author. When you look at the term author, you're looking at someone who originates, who creates, an instigator. that person always enlarges something. When they refer to Jesus, they speak of him as the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the author and the finisher of our faith. So this is why I can't understand how you can call a religion that's not a belief in Jesus a faith. It's not, because faith is something that is authored, it is created, it instigates change in you. It originates from somewhere, and it cannot originate from man. It has to originate from God. How do we know that? Well, if he's the author and the finisher of our faith, then he has a book to refer to it. There is a reference point for him. If you go back and you study Josephus, you will understand that there was both a historical Jesus as well as a spiritual one. One reference in the letters of Paul, and one reference in the words and writings of a historian named Josephus. There was twice reference to the existence of this man. Yet, a man who wanted to instill fear based on an ideological pursuit did not have to reference anything or anyone. He went by the symbols of what they meant to people, and using those symbols, the engraved marks on the hearts and souls of men, using those engraved marks, he did what Peter does when it comes to crying out, wolf. You see, there are many in the conservative movement who won't say anything because they fear this term called racism. They fear it's like if you threw acid on the face of a Middle Eastern woman, which happens amongst the Mohammedans, because she may speak up for herself, or she may want to drive without daddy in the back seat. Or she may even actually, get this, she may actually want to go to school. He instigated something, Peyton Head instigated something based on fear. Well, if the author and the finisher of a faith, and who is also a creator of the universe, has at least two references here on earth that proves point that he exists, both the Bible and the writings of historians of his day, how is it that Peyton Head got a university president, along with the rest of his ilk, to resign? And it goes back to why conservatives fear this term, racism. They believe the narrative that has been spun by the authors and the finishers of fear. They have chosen fear over love, power, and a sound mind. They refuse to debate using wisdom because they have gotten an immense amount of negative concert regarding themselves on the narrative. You see, on the library shelf in most schools in America, you won't find the Bible. And in fact, on the library shelves of most libraries, you won't find the Bible. But you will find magazines, you will find pornography, you will find fiction and non-fiction that's built on mythology and narratives that point to someone being something that they're not, and the lie once told supplants any truth to be told. We have become reactionary as conservatives instead of being proactive as conservatives. We should be on the front lines speaking truth before powerful liars take the helm with their narratives. So for whom do you have the authority to speak? You might be asking yourself that particular question. And what exactly should I speak? Do I have to wait until there is some formal gathering, some conference that I must go to in order to best understand exactly what it is that I believe? I hope not. J. David Gowdy, who is the president of the Washington, Jefferson, and Madison Institute, spoke of two things that need to be considered in understanding the virtues. Well, that's the one thing, and the liberty, that's the other thing, expressed by the Founding Fathers in a document that they refer to as the U.S. Constitution, which is built on the framework of a Judeo-Christian background, which is formulated in the foundations of a tomb called the Bible. You see, the author and the finisher of my faith instigated men of culture and reasoning to formulate a document with the same principles in that book, to lead us and to guide us towards not only the truth of the matter that we are flawed as men and will fall short of his glory, but we have a glory that we can point back to. So whom is the author or the authority for whom you can speak and do? Is it fear? Well, we know fear can only come from a spirit that's built on stealing, killing, and destroying. So I ask you just 3 questions. And here are the questions. When you consider the Republican and the Democrat platforms, is there a place in the Republican platform for stealing? Now, we know the Republicans instituted in 1913 the income tax by some goofy senator from Alabama who didn't think it would ever pass. You know, he was just playing a joke, and then bam, all of a sudden it's law. Thank you, idiot. Never give communists or socialists the opportunity to take from you what doesn't belong to them, because it's far better to have 100% of your stuff than any percent of theirs. Well, stealing is when you overtax people. Do the Republicans believe in overtaxing? No. Well, the socialists do. Here's the second question for you. The killing part. What in the platform for the Republicans tells you that they believe in killing? I know some of you are going to point back to the death penalty. Well, by golly, that's a state tool in order to stop reasonable people from killing and eliminating the illogical ones who do. And you might point to war, but war is necessary. Even God will tell you that there will be wars and rumors of war. So where in there does it say, outside of that tomb, killing? Well, when you consider the Democrats in their platform, abortion's okay. Does that align itself with life, liberty, or the pursuit of happiness? No, it doesn't. In fact, you won't find it anywhere in the Constitution. It is an interpretation of the 14th Amendment. And that interpretation speaks to the fact that a woman can keep private the things that she does with her doctor. However, it also juxtaposes, takes away the freedoms and the rights and the liberties of the DNA provider, which is the father. Oh, wait a minute, that's theft too. And here's the destruction part. Our founding fathers understood And let me just read this to you. George Washington, human rights can only be assured among a virtuous people. The general government can never be in danger of degenerating into a monarchy or oligarchy or aristocracy or any despotic or oppressive form so long as there is any virtue in the body of the people. So I ask you, if we are a virtuous people, in which platform is there the destruction of the United States of America, the destruction of the Constitution, the destruction of the actual foundational tool that which we result in understanding not only that we have freedoms and liberties based on our moral pursuits and our liberty, but in addition to that, that we actually have an originator in heaven that instigated the fact the founding fathers wrote about him in that Constitution. Which one of us is trying to destroy that? Now here's a fourth question, and I should have told you four, but I just thunk of this. If your child was at the University of Missouri, would he be in his dorm room studying right now? Or would he be in a hall healing himself from the racial impurities of America? Our country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing. Who's singing in Missouri tonight? The birthplace of communism in America. A man once told me to live bravely so that you will not have to die cowardly. I promise you I always will. God bless you, and now it's time for America to start blessing God. Tomorrow we'll end our series on character. I hope that you will return. I hope that you also stay to listen to the best late night show in the world, and I do mean that. Sackheads Radio is coming up. God bless you, and God bless. Peace to USA.